Okay, welcome viewer to Turndog Talks 2. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'm here with a fantastic guy, and I am talking to the one and only Arnold Du Toit. Arnold, thank you.
Thanks, Matt. It's really nice to have you here in London. Nice early Saturday morning.
I am in London town, being wined and dined by Mr. Du Toit, and we are going today talk about some mistakes that Arnold's made and how we overcome them, which is obviously the most important part of all. So please, Arnold, start us off by just giving us a bit of info about you and your business.
Sure. Well, my name's Arnold Du Toit, as Matt said. I'm the founder of a company called Drive Steady Limited, and we are the manufacturers of the world's first ever hop-on golf trolley called the Rolley Golf. And the concept started actually as a university project and grew into a commercial reality sort of throughout 2008 all the way through to now. So it's been a very up and down journey, and I guess the topic of mistakes and something you coined the successful mistake, it goes hand in hand with a startup, especially when you're a young entrepreneur, sort of finding your way through all these different phases. And I'm hoping I can be as honest as I can about these mistakes we've made and how we've overcome them.
Fantastic, and we were talking a little bit about it last night over dinner. With you having to do so much R&D for this product, it's not like you're just starting, you know, some service. It's such a big product, it's got so much design behind it, and are you just about to do the Rolley Golf version 11, isn't it? So there's going to be more mistakes probably with a business like this than sort of the average, maybe corner shop, shall we say.
It is, and I think the real challenge is you always get to the point where you think you're at the point of success, and for a young entrepreneur it's always the most thrilling, also the most dangerous part, I think, of our careers that we've chosen to take. And like you said, with a product that needs so much development, there's certain dreams that you have when you start a company like this, which you very quickly realise a lot harder to achieve than what they first were. So yeah, you're very right. You hit on some interesting topics there that I'd love to expand on later on.
Brilliant. Well, let's get straight into this. So I want you to think about your biggest business mistake, and let's just start off by telling us what happened. You know, give us the story, the background. What happened with this mistake of yours?
Right. Well, there's so many of these little mistakes that could have been catastrophic. And I guess one that I will give you my biggest product mistake first, which is when we first launched the product. We went through all the different phases of development. I built my own models, tested them, they all worked. Everybody seemed to appreciate what the Rolley Golf could do and thought, this is close, this is almost a product. We went ahead and designed a manufactured version of this thing that we had to display at a show in 3 months' time. So we had 3 months to build and manufacture the first ever production line ready Rolley Golf. Yep. And it was all due to, well, we built the business on pre-orders, so we always had to constantly catch up to what customers wanted. And in the meantime, we were also trying to do R&D. So throughout building these Rolleys, we never assumed that they would go wrong. We always had this idea that they would be the perfect product. And it actually happened 4 times so far where we thought we were at the right stage, and this particular moment people expected this thing to be the defining product, and what ended up looking like a fantastically engineered product ended up being probably one of the most wild and, I'm going to call it, enthusiastic electric vehicle I think anybody's ever created, and turned into more of like a wild horse scenario. So you can always imagine a cowboy training a wild horse. Nice. For even the most experienced thrill seekers, the Rolley Golf was a challenge to hone, and it was at the time one of those feelings of, how are we going to overcome this, because we've literally put all our eggs in this one little basket. But the beauty is the product being so wild at the start created something that we never anticipated, which was almost like a bit of a character to the brand. So people remember the Rolley Golf as being this exciting product, which is one of our biggest challenges, is stopping people from thinking it's a product for the disabled or elderly, and keeping it young and fresh. This wild card of a Rolley Golf that almost tore your arm off if you tried to accelerate in the slightest. You know, it coined these brilliant, powerful product, you know, youthful, enthusiastic. It's not just for the elderly and unable. It's this really cool product with a sort of a dangerous side to it, which allured, and it was really interesting.
The Thrill Seekers golf
The Thrill
cart.
Seeker golf cart.
Nice,
That's
I like it.
that was it.
Well, we'll come back on to the sort of positives in a couple of minutes, but what kind of effect did this have on your business, both financially and for your business growth, emotionally, as you as the individual? It must have been tough.
Well, I think that that was the reason I pick on this particular moment. I mean, we've had much more dire problems, but this particular problem that I mentioned, when it happened, people around us expected to see a product that worked and that was commercially viable. You're talking about possible investors, customers, friends and family. Lots of people couldn't quite see the positives at this stage, and it was
you?
To be perfectly honest with you, when it first happened and I saw the people's reaction, you know, people who invested a lot of time, money, effort into supporting me to get to the stage, it was that effect of, is this solvable? How long do we have? And how much is this going to cost? And who at that point in time is going to be convinced over such a new product to be commercially viable? You know, safety, the cost of manufacturing, how much R&D, are you going to get there in time? All those factors were sort of pushed on you within 30 minutes. So you spend 2 years developing a product which, when you think you've honed it to the perfect ideal, just at that point in time seemed, you know, far-fetched. It didn't seem that what we tried to create was going to be possible. Or even, you know, mechanically, obviously my mind started just running with possibilities of how we can solve this, but financially it would have been it was going to be a big hit, and everybody saw this. They saw, you know, you've just invested in building this fleet of Rolley Golfs, and every single one of them is going to be like this crazy thing. You know, it was a tough day to get through, but I'll get onto the positives of how that came out later. But it was really hard to swallow, because a lot of people started, you could tell, their faith diminished. Some people, their faith didn't diminish, which was nice, but they then started becoming more real. You know, they could see the real challenges ahead of us.
So you've just had 2 years of developing. You've got this massive show, you've got people interested, everyone's excited, and it doesn't go according to plan. But you're still here, and even though other things have gone wrong since then, step by step, you're getting closer and closer, more people interested, there's a lot of buzz going about, you're appearing on TV and what have you. So the success might not be quite there just yet, as in the end product, but you've certainly turned like that one mistake into a success. So what did you do to overcome it?
Well, yeah, that's sort of the key to success, I guess, is how you overcome these issues. But at first, it starts with your team. So the people who are involved with you have to try and reinstill the faith that you still have in your product. And for me, it was, I knew the Rolley could work because previous models that I built on lesser technology still worked. And it's funny how everybody looks at you to this point. The people who really want to still believe in this concept, in this business, look at you to show them how we're going to fix it. And the best thing for some entrepreneurs, well, for myself, it was, I love solving problems. And I think really tricky problems that come up at short notice, you didn't predict them, those are the points that you learn the best at. And they create a bit more character for you. You learn in turn a lot more about your own business, and you also look at other possibilities. So for me, mechanically, everything was solvable. The big unknown was, I knew that the electronics needed to be fine-tuned and developed, and at my backbone, my business mind was just saying everything you're saying. Yep, it's doable, it's great, but it's going to cost you a fair bit of money to be able to get this stuff implemented. So how I overcame it was I tried to look at the extreme positives that came out of this day. And like I said, the whole the term any PR is good PR. The fact that people remembered, you know, the next day the phone was ringing, people were interested, they were inquiring. You know, most emails did start with, that product was mental.
Yeah.
How long will it be till you get it right?
Well, it's like we were talking about last night. Sort of real investors, people with vision, they can see past the initial error. They see the bigger picture. And obviously people are excited about where this could go. Just because it's not, you know, it's a little erratic now doesn't mean it's going to be erratic in 6 months' time, in a year's time. So.
Well, yeah, exactly. Matt, I can't agree with you anymore. But at that time, I didn't know that, and no one else in my team did, because obviously this is all so new. So yeah, the how you overcame it, you literally tried to just pick the, like I said, the extreme positives, and I mean, you know, the fact that it was so crazy meant that people remembered us, and they remembered the name. That was the best thing that came from it. So you force yourself to look at the positives, and then just really get everybody in your team to look at that positive and say, look what this means for the future. Now we just got to work extra hard to get these little fine focused points sort of ironed out. And it gives you, actually it's good that I use that word, it gives you extreme focus as well.
So is it a case of just evaluating what had happened, taking the positives and saying, look, this is what we're going to cling to. We are going to build towards this. There are positives. But then take all these negatives, all the weaknesses, and think, right, we've also got to fix these.
That's it.
And was it just kind of the mindset, really, just to kind of keep you, I suppose, focused going forward? Yeah,
perfect. I'm going to use that word again. These problems, that if you really believe in your concept and your business idea, any challenge that comes up, no matter how dire, it will give you this great focus on the bits that you need to get through. And because you're the only one who's going to be driving this at this early stage of your business, you will overcome them.
Yeah.
Because you have to. It's not a I want to. It's you have to overcome them, and that's where your true colours shine.
It's that need.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, so what did you learn from it personally? From you're heading up this company. This is your baby. Everyone else is involved, but you're probably a little bit more involved than everyone else. What did you personally learn from this?
Okay, well, this is where I've got to be as honest as I can. It's funny, you'd think that you'd learn this once and that you wouldn't do it again. Now, in this business, I think, well, no, I know I've done this 4 times. This same issue came about in 4 different guises, and every time you tell yourself, I'm going to make sure that I don't do this again. And then it comes around again. And what it teaches you, it's again in different levels. I love breaking this down into product wise. It teaches you, look at your business, your product or your concept, look at the technical aspects, look at comparative products that are out there. And there's a reason when people invest in electric vehicles that there are 9-figure sums of money that go into R&D and development, and you can't be that naive and go, well, we don't need that time, we don't need that kind of money, we don't need that kind of funding. So just really be realistic about where your product is and what it's going to take. It'll give you confidence in your market. The second part of what you learn is your audience, your customers. What kind of customer do you need to attract to be able to push a new product like this that might go through a lot of teething issues? It gives you a very clear sort of a product, a customer profile. And this is where, when you've got a good idea, you'll always have demand for what you're doing. That just is the true fact in business. But a lot of this demand is the wrong kind of demand. And you've got to be very, you can't be greedy at this stage.
Yeah.
You've just got to pick the customers who you know understand where your product is and who believe in it as much and know that you'll be there through all these little challenges that come up.
So that's really interesting, because these mistakes helped you learn more about your customers, your clients, your investors, all these things. The right people compared to the wrong people. I think we've talked about it a lot, you know, about the 80% of people who want it, but only 20% of people will follow through. So did it help you find that 20% going through these mistakes?
It did. And then you get those extra, the extra percentages, which sometimes at this age you can't help but think a sale is a sale, it's going to push us forward. And actually some sales, you really disappoint that customer.
Yeah.
And that in turn, again, along the same line, you know, you send a product out that isn't right and this customer's expecting something that is perfect. But you just did not sell your business at the state that it was. It's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. But like you said, you just learn this beautiful truth about who your customers are and who you're supposed to be looking for.
Yeah. So what's the third thing?
Right. The third thing that you learn from this experience. So I said product, your customers, and then emotionally, to never make excuses for this this dream that you have. You have to always really, really make sure that you really do believe in your concept, and that belief will attract more and more customers, more and more team members, potentially investors. It'll show people that nothing that happens will stop you from getting this dream realised.
And I suppose that's one of the big key things, because with the customers, with the product, you can always hire people to help you. Yeah. Other people can help, but when it's the emotional side, that's all on you. And if you start to lose focus, you start to lose that passion, you start to lose that belief, there's going to be greater issues further down the line.
Spot on. Almost brings me on to my next massive challenge, but yeah, go on.
Okay, well, we're nearing the end of this lovely little interview. So you're a few years down the line now. You're still a new entrepreneur, you're still a young entrepreneur, but you've got some experience behind you. So if you were to offer one piece of advice to someone who's just starting out, young or old, someone who's got that dream, got that vision, what would that advice be to them?
Okay, this is where I get, I guess I'll be as honest and open as I can, because I believe that's what helps other people. Along this journey of having a product that everybody wants, this dream of success, and what money will allow you to be, or what it will allow you to do, it does become a reality. Now, in a startup, especially like a product-based business where the risk is always on the product, it's not really on the demand because it's always there. Your biggest risk is actually yourself. And what happened to me and my company was we went through all these different stages. We sent products out and they weren't quite ready. And every time you did that, because it's such a high value product, for someone who's never done it before and who is still very wet, you know, under your ears, like very, very young to anything, when that kind of money comes into your business, you always tell yourself it's not about the money. But I can assure you right now that the temptation of thinking I've made it before you've made it is one of the toughest things to admit and also to overcome, because that happened to me. And you know, the one thing I'll say that I was glad that I realized was that people around who care about you, people who are mentors, people who genuinely just have no interest whatsoever about apart from seeing something good happening and something bad, like a bad little seed starting. Yeah. It was that. I did genuinely think I arrived at the party and actually the party didn't even exist yet. And that was also a way of hiding away from, you know, just being very scared of this looming success. When things start actually working, you can't help but just be surprised that your idea is actually a good idea and that people are paying their hard-earned money to want your extremely awesome product. And attached with that is just keeping that focus. You know, you can't think that you've arrived before you've arrived. And the really nice thing is when you say this to other young entrepreneurs, you just tell them how quickly that degrades your business.
Yeah.
One person who think, you know, I've now got it, I can now go do what I like, I can wake up when I want, I can go out every day, I can now do and afford things that I never thought I could ever afford. And before you even realize it, everybody around you starts asking that question of, but you know, we aren't there yet. Why are you now suddenly almost neglecting your own business? And the truth is, it's comes down to just being absolutely terrified. When things start going well, you need to just reevaluate, talk to some really good mentors, get your friends to just always check that you still are exactly who you are, and is there anything that surprised them recently about you, and you'll very quickly realise that I didn't think that you would ever be this kind of party animal suddenly. Where did it come from? But anyway.
So is the key kind of to just surround yourself with the right sort of people? Not yes men, but people who are going to be honest and say, look, dude, chill out.
That's it.
We're not there yet. Does that come from family, friends, mentors, employees, investors? Like who's kind of been in your social area?
I guess the advice I would say is, as entrepreneurs, we spot opportunities. Like that's what we're good at in problem solving. So my one didn't come from either a friend, family member, or a mentor. It actually came from a person attached to the company. At one stage, one of my team members were just worried. They thought, are things going as well as Arnold is portraying? Or should we all now be focusing more? That worry just it's made someone just question me one day. They literally just shut the door and said, are you sure you're in control? I'm just noticing something that might spin out of control. And it's up to you to then just take what that person says, and whether it means something to you then or not, that person, you can tell they do not care whether this has touched sides inside your head or if it didn't. It's completely down to you to spot that opportunity, even though it's a negative, and you know, turn it round very quickly before it turns bad.
It's interesting because most people would look at it and think you need to worry in the bad times when things aren't working right, and you can enjoy the good times. But actually, the successful people a lot of the time, they won't be that worried during the bad times because mistakes and issues mean progress.
Correct.
Progress is good. And they will actually worry more when things are going well, because all of a sudden there's expectations and there's need for growth, and you need to then take it to the next level and be prepared for this success. So people do forget about that, and I think young entrepreneurs in particular think, well, if I get a good contract I can go out and celebrate and travel. But actually, the good times when you need to take a step back and go, hold on, what do we need to do?
That's it, exactly. And that's the only advice I can tell to someone, Matt, and it's good that you brought this up. It's just not necessarily surround yourself with people who will notice this, but just always, when times are good, just listen more to the people around you. It's always good. They sometimes act like a really nice mirror.
I think listen more in general is a very good piece of advice. Yeah,
spot on.
It's something to do. Well, thank you very much, Arnold, and thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Viewer, for watching. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two from Mr. Du Toit and his successful mistakes. So thank you, Arnold, and thank you.
Cheers.